In the darkest years of the Second World War, Britain faced a terrifying possibility. Somewhere beyond the horizon, enemy submarines could be waiting unseen, ready to sink another convoy carrying food, fuel, and ammunition.
These supply
Above the
lines
clouds,
were Britain's
German
only
bombers
hope.
could emerge with little warning.
Beneath the waves,
For a time, it seemed as though the
silent enemy
battlefield
was waiting.
belonged to whoever could remain invisible the longest. Then, hidden inside a metal cylinder small enough to fit in a person's hand, came a breakthrough that quietly transformed the war. By 1940, Britain stood in an increasingly desperate position. After the fall of France, the country depended almost entirely on supplies crossing the Atlantic. Every merchant ship carried something essential to Britain's survival, from grain and medicine to aircraft parts and oil. Yet these convoys faced a relentless threat from German U-boats, whose commanders sought to sever Britain's lifeline by sinking merchant vessels faster than they could be replaced. The Battle of the Atlantic became one of the longest and most critical campaigns of the entire war. Britain already possessed one remarkable advantage. Before the war, its chain-home radar network had helped detect incoming German aircraft during the Battle of Britain, giving the Royal Air Force precious minutes to scramble fighters. Those early radar stations were enormous installations, operating on relatively long wavelengths. They proved highly effective against large formations of aircraft approaching the British coast, but they had significant limitations. They were not designed to detect something as small as the periscope or conning tower of a submarine far out at sea. Finding a U-boat in the vast Atlantic was extraordinarily difficult. German submarines spent much of the day submerged, surfacing mainly at night to recharge batteries and attack under cover of darkness. Even when they surfaced, they presented only a tiny target against thousands of square miles of open ocean. Aircraft searching from above often had little chance of spotting them before they disappeared again beneath the waves. Scientists understood that radar operating at much shorter wavelengths could detect smaller objects with far greater precision. The problem was generating enough microwave energy to make such radar practical. Existing equipment simply could not produce the power required. For years, this challenge appeared almost impossible to overcome. Everything changed in early 1940 at the University of Birmingham. Physicists John Randall and Harry Boot developed a device known as the Cavity Magnetron. Although compact in size, it generated powerful microwave signals unlike anything previously available. Instead of requiring massive antennas and bulky equipment, radar systems using the magnetron could become dramatically smaller while offering far greater resolution. The significance of the invention became clear almost immediately. Radar could now be installed aboard aircraft in a practical form. Rather than relying solely on visual searches, patrol aircraft gained the ability to scan wide areas of ocean regardless of darkness, cloud cover, or poor visibility. Small targets that had once blended into the sea became far easier to detect. The breakthrough was considered so valuable that Britain decided to share it with the United States, despite the enormous security risks involved. In September 1940, during what became known as the Tizard Mission, British scientists carried one of the precious Cavity Magnetrons across the Atlantic. American researchers were astonished by its capabilities. Many later described it as one of the most significant technological gifts exchanged during the war. It accelerated radar development on both sides of the Atlantic and laid the foundation for mass production of advanced microwave radar. Meanwhile, the Battle of the Atlantic grew even more intense. German Admiral Karl Dönitz expanded his Wolfpack tactics, coordinating multiple submarines against Allied convoys. At night, U-boats often attacked while traveling on the surface, where they were faster than when submerged. Before microwave radar, darkness offered them a considerable advantage. Patrol aircraft frequently flew overhead. Without ever realizing submarines were below, that advantage steadily disappeared. Aircraft, equipped with microwave radar, began locating surfaced submarines that previously would have escaped unnoticed. Even in poor weather or complete darkness, radar operators could identify small echoes that earlier systems would have missed. Once detected, the aircraft could close the distance rapidly before the submarine crew understood they had been found. German crews initially struggled to explain why surprise attacks from Allied aircraft were becoming more frequent. Many believed they had remained concealed. Others suspected better patrol patterns or sheer bad luck. In reality, a technological revolution was quietly unfolding above them. The Luftwaffe encountered similar problems in the air war. Microwave radar greatly improved airborne interception systems carried by British night fighters. During the Blitz, German bombers had relied heavily on darkness to reduce the effectiveness of defending fighters. Guided by increasingly capable radar, British crews could now locate hostile aircraft with far greater accuracy during nighttime operations. Although radar alone did not guarantee victory, it steadily reduced the safety that darkness had once provided. German scientists were far from inexperienced. They developed impressive radar systems of their own throughout the war. Yet the Allies achieved an important advantage by rapidly integrating microwave radar across multiple platforms, including patrol aircraft, naval vessels, coastal defenses, and night fighters. Combined with improvements in radio intelligence, code-breaking escort tactics, and long-range aircraft, radar became one element of a much larger system that steadily shifted momentum in the Allies' favor. As the campaign continued into 1943, the balance in the Atlantic changed dramatically. Long-range patrol aircraft equipped with improved radar began closing the notorious air gap where convoys had previously lacked air cover. Escort carriers added even more aircraft capable of searching vast stretches of ocean. U-boats that once hunted almost at will increasingly found themselves being hunted instead. The results were devastating for Germany's submarine force. Losses climbed sharply as more submarines were detected before they could strike. Commanders who had relied upon stealth discovered that remaining hidden had become increasingly difficult. Dönitz himself was eventually forced to withdraw many U-boats from the North Atlantic after suffering unsustainable losses during what became known as Black May in 1943. The Cavity Magnetron did not win the Battle of the Atlantic by itself. Victory depended upon countless factors working together: industrial production, intelligence from ultra-code breaking, improved convoy organization, better weapons determined sailors, skilled air crews, and relentless scientific innovation. But the Magnetron amplified nearly all of those strengths by allowing Allied forces to see what had previously remained invisible. Its influence extended well beyond the Atlantic. Microwave radar improved bombing navigation, anti-shipping strikes, artillery fire control, and countless other military applications throughout the remainder of the war. The technology also became the foundation for many post-war civilian radar systems, including those used in aviation and weather forecasting. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the Cavity Magnetron is how little it resembled a weapon. It fired no shells, launched no torpedoes, and dropped no bombs. It was simply a compact electronic device built by scientists searching for a better way to generate radio waves. Yet by allowing Allied forces to detect danger sooner and respond faster, it quietly altered the balance of one of history's most important conflicts. In a war often remembered for massive battleships, roaring bombers, and heavily armored tanks, one of the most decisive advances fit comfortably into the palm of a hand. It proved that sometimes the greatest victories are not achieved by building a more powerful weapon, but by seeing the battlefield more clearly than the enemy ever imagined possible.